Hey gamers, what is going on? We're back with a brand new episode of the Batcast, and today we will be discussing the Flash 2023 film that I saw. I'm literally recording this at 12:40 a.m. So it is quite early in the morning, and I am recording this episode. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Anyway, before we do get started, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. So Oh, and before we do progress, there will be heavy spoilers, just to let you all know. But yeah, so the movie, I'm having a hard place to kind of start. The movie is all centered around this kind of flashpoint paradox that is extremely common in the DC multiverse, and it is kind of this enlightenment to other multiverses in the DC universe. The movie is essentially based around the fact that Barry, a lot like in the Flashpoint series, wants to save his mom from her inevitable death, and in trying to do so, he changes history to reflect his choices that he's made. And it's it's a really good movie, I'd say. It's one of the best that have released this year, and it's it's not a bias because Keaton is in it, because he is in it. It's I don't want to say it is biased, but in a way it is because of Keaton. Is going to be how I put it, because Keaton was such a massive role in my early upbringing, and is how I'm going to put it. And the soundtrack to the Keaton Batman was such a big part of my early childhood. I feel like there is a bit of biased opinion with the movie, which is something I'm going to try to refrain from, but do take the whole of the opinion with a grain of salt, because I love Keaton and the '89 Batman work a lot. While we're on the subject of Keaton, we might as well talk about it. He is in the movie. When we first meet him, however, he's kind of this John the Baptist figure. Not in the kind of religious sense, but in the more kind of outward appearance kind of thing. He looks very rugged. He has a big beard, long hair, and he's really kind of lost Batman his Batman touch. And it's cool to see how he kind of bounces back so quickly from being the this homeless looking character to the savior that the world needs. Um, and it was awesome to see him back in action. I pointed out many things um, while there in my head, and some of those things were even as minute to the fact that he had to look up with his whole torso. He didn't look with just his head. If you guys don't know, back in the '80s when the original Batman was filmed, there wasn't a ton of wiggle room in the suit, and so Keaton had to basically shift his whole body if he wanted to look somewhere. So it made him look a little goofy, but it makes this Batman so much more unique than other Batmans who have full range with their suit. Um, he also has this little sliver of dialogue in the movie, which pertains to the weight problem that him and Vicky Vale had when trying to escape the Joker's thugs um, in the first movie, and where he's like, "So how much do you weigh?" And she's like, 110, I think, or whatever it is. And so they both get on, and uh, Batman weighs too much, or she weighs too much, and so he lets go and fights the rest of the thugs. Um, and so something like that is so cool to see that they kind of even pertained to something as quirky as, you know, Vicky Vale weighing too much, but now the whole team is weighing too much for this elevator to go somewhere. Um, and it's really cool to see. The whole of Wayne Manor is set up to look like the '89 Batman Manor, and it's got like the statues in the front. That was one of my very first things that I just awed about when I saw the inside of this Wayne Manor. I was like, whoa, they have like the Japanese statue that Bruce was angry at Alexander Knox for not knowing what the origin is of, or had to correct him about. Um, even something as small as that, which made a huge difference to the movie. They got the kitchen to look a lot like what the movie looked like in the '89 Batman. Um, and it really looked like something that they tried hard to reproduce. And so a lot of the similarities between both the movie and the '89 movie were just so amazing, and I just couldn't with it. Um, there's a scene where Keaton uh, says his uh, his glorious phase, which is "I'm Batman," and I'm not going to try because I can never replicate the way Keaton says it, but he does. And there's also a scene where he says his "Let's get nuts" phrase, and it's honestly such a great like a kind of callback to the '89 Batman and the 1992 Batman. And I think that's one of the reasons why I love it so much, is because of it's kind of see the Tim Burton Batman, now that this movie is out, is a three-part movie. You have the first part where this dark vigilante has emerged from inside of one of the US's most horrible cities, riddled with crime, fear, chaos, and there's this protagonist who puts down a common threat and continues to do so with multiple other threats. Then, a couple years later, 2 or 3 years later, it's around Christmas time, and the same thing's happening, but it's a completely different antagonist. And this protagonist has to stop it once again. And then you have this final part where it's this Justice League, this league of four members, and they are all fighting a common enemy, which is General Zod. And it is honestly one of the best conclusions to a series I have ever seen. Some of my favorites are like, The Big Bang Theory, or something like that, the Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit. But with this one, it's different because Batman always dies. The point of the movie is to say that there is an inevitable ending. No matter how hard you try to change the past, to replicate this future that you want to be living, it can't happen all the time. There is certain inevitable things that will happen, and this movie really points out that no matter what, Bruce Wayne dies. This Batman is his conclusion. This is the end of the Tim Burton Batman. And I don't know if they're going to do anything else with Keaton's Batman. I hope they don't. As much as I love him, he has had his time on the screen. He has been a part of many people's lives, and this iconic figure and an iconic hero. And he needs to go with this glorious bang. This, doing something that he's always wanted to do, which was avenge his parents. And he does it very well in this final act, which is whether it be getting, killed because he cannot eject from his Batwing, or getting killed by another Kryptonian. However, other possibilities there are, this Batman will always die in this battle. And it is so heart-wrenching, but needed at the same time for this Batman to have his end, to be this kind of character that Gotham needs, this kind of face that Gotham needs, and to put an end, to that legend. And it's an amazing trilogy. And it's amazing how Bruce is okay with it. Bruce is okay dying in this dystopian world where Zod kills everyone eventually, and there is no saving Earth. The Superman isn't there. His cousin is there, and you have two Flashes and Batman, but they cannot stop Zod no matter how many tries you try. And that was showed off best by the Blackened Flash, who is this Flash from a past who's trying to change the future so that Batman lives and Kara lives and, both Barry Allens live. And he can't. And because of this, he's blackened by his anger and his time that he's spent trying to do this. And he's left inevitably to die because of the choices that he's made, and him just trying to stay in the multiverse for as long as he can, or not in the multiverse, but in the Speed Force, changing the multiverse for as long as he can, trying to find a way so that everyone can live, which is Barry Allen's true kind of his true, how am I going to put this? What he really wants to happen is for everyone to live. But he can't have everyone live in this battle. There can't be, a Kara who lives and a Batman who lives at the same time. There can't be all four of them in unison together at the same time. This is, the end to the Batman and to the Elseworld Flash. It's sad that this kind of Flash has devoted his life to finding out how to help people so that, Batman can live. But he does it in a way that makes him become the villain. So that, he does it in a way that is totally wrong, and the Barry Allen Flash from the original universe knows this, and that it won't ever work. but the Barry Allen from this kind of Flashpoint world doesn't know that and thinks that he can solve it. And at the end, we do find out that the Dark Flash is Barry Allen, the one from the Flashpoint world. And so, you know, it's 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 sad, but it's a good ending. It's a good ending to the 1989 Batman. And I feel like they did a very good job ending him with how he would want the world to end if he was to go, which was serving, the common citizen not for his own gain, but for Gotham's gain and the world's gain. Whether the world ever, you know, reaps um his labor, whether it ever, kind of harvests his labor from what he put in or not, he did inevitably end how he wanted to. And that is something that I love about that that kind of motif and character ending. So another thing I kind of wanted to talk about was just some other kind of Flashpoint things that had happened in the movie. Barry has lost his powers to himself, essentially, in trying to make both of them have powers. Both him and his Flashpoint self have powers, and so he's lost his powers, and so they're both trying to regain original Barry's powers. And one of the coolest things that was done was the kind of Flashpoint Batman's put him in a wheel or put him in a shocking chair, and we'll give him those powers that way. In the Flashpoint comics, however, I believe Bruce, or not Bruce, sorry, God, Timothy, Thomas. I'm sorry, Thomas shocked Barry multiple times, and in this movie, he only shocked him once. That's not a big issue, but it is kind of cool to see that that sorry that Flashpoint thing kind of happen. And that's a lot of the story, I'd say, because in Flashpoint, Barry goes back to save his mom from dying, and in this movie, he does the same exact thing. So I want to say this is almost this Flash's version of a Flashpoint.
I'll need to finish him with a series of strikes.
And so it's kind of cool. Yeah, another thing that that was kind of annoying was the time traveling aspect of it. There were a lot of things that are confusing. Do they line up? Yes, they line up, but time travel in general is kind of confusing. And it made the movie made the case that without Barry Allen's mother, even the movie Back to the Future would be changed. Even the Superman would change. I just don't think those things would have changed. Because, I mean, without Barry Allen, the world would have just been down a flash. I believe there wouldn't be a Justice League, but there also wouldn't be... There wouldn't be a Justice League, but there would be heroes. Bruce would still become Batman. His parents would still die. Oh God, where am I? What am I saying? So yeah, Bruce's parents would have still died. Back to the Future still would have had who's the guy's name? The guy who plays as Marty McFly. Um, Fox. Um, they still would have had him play as Marty McFly. So a lot of the things in the movie that they say would have changed to have Barry be not alive is kind of funny. Like, because Barry not being there isn't a big deal. Yes, the world would be down a flash. Would there still be a Justice League? I don't know. But a lot of these events that have nothing to do with Barry Allen wouldn't exist. Like, Barry Allen didn't decide if Michael J. Fox played, you know, Marty McFly. Barry Allen didn't. I don't know. Barry Allen didn't make the Justice League. That was Batman who did. So there's a lot of things that I didn't really find, needing, I guess, in a way. That those things just didn't really need to have an impact. But regardless, it was still really cool. But yeah, I think one of the biggest kickers was at the end of the movie when George Clooney makes his entrance as Bruce Wayne. And Flash kind of has this oh shoot moment. And he's like, crap, I just messed up this entire timeline. So it's funny to see. But yeah, honestly, this movie was an excellent movie, and I definitely recommend it to anyone who be interested in watching it, because it is, is it a biased opinion? Maybe, but I I try to stay as unbiased as it may be, even though this one may be a little harder, because one of my favorite Batman actors was in it. But yeah, it was an excellent movie. On it, like, one of my biggest highlights was definitely the fact that Michael Keaton reprised his role as Batman and kind of put to death this character that everyone has grown up with, or a lot of people have grown up with and loved. But it was definitely a time for Michael Keaton's Batman to have an end, and this was definitely one that I liked and I was okay with. And I'm still salty about, but I'm okay with it. You can like something but still be kind of angry that it happened, you know? Um, I didn't like the fact that Luke Skywalker died in the 8th movie out of all Star Wars movies, but I'm still happy he's dead. Not because I don't like the character, but because Mark Hamill is done with Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill wants to move on to different things. Michael Keaton wants to move on to different things. He's done with Batman. And as much as that may pain one to say, it's true. And, at the end of the day, fans don't get to decide how an actor spends their life. So I'm happy that Michael Keaton finished his role. I honestly thought he wasn't going to come back unless Tim Burton was there, but we're wrong sometimes. But yeah, it was honestly a 7 out of 10 movie, maybe 8. I'll give it a good 8. 8 out of 10. It was pretty good. But I don't know if I have anything else. I mean, besides the time traveling, which was one of the most weird things. I still need to think about it. If I ever decide to, I might make a part 2 about all the things that confuse me with it. But that's if I ever do decide on what I think happened, because I mean, in all, there's just so many things that could have happened to change the timeline of the movie, or not of the movie, but of Barry Allen. And I'm wondering if this was the first Barry Allen or if this is one of many, just like I did with Back to the Future. Is this the first Marty McFly, or is this the first of a set of Marty McFlys, or not the first, but like a set of Marty McFlys that have done this in the past and are just now redoing it. And so that's one of the things with time traveling that is the most confusing. But this movie definitely did a really good job with it, and you know it's definitely worth watching if you guys were thinking of doing it. Like I said, it's probably an 8 out of 10, not a perfect 10, but one of the better movies that's come out this year. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, let me know what your thoughts and opinions about the movie were down below. And I will get back to you guys whenever I can. All right. Bye.